Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the Son of Zorn 5.5-inch scale action figures from Funko. That's right, this is Funko's first foray into the 5.5-inch action figure market, based on some of those awesome vintage style figures such as He-Man and other of those barbarian style action figures that we got in this style and scale. And they're kicking things off with figures from the sitcom Son of Zorn, which is a comedy series that kind of pays homage to some of those old cartoons like He-Man and Thundar. I thought this was a pretty great idea, and I'm really excited to see some action figures in this style, so let's check them out. As you can see, they come on blister card packages that are very reminiscent, again, of the old He-Man and the Masters of the Universe card backs and some of those other 5.5-inch figure card backs we saw back in the 80s. I love this. They got the long card backs, the blister bubbles there are shaped kind of like the figure, fully showcases both of our figures within, which we've got Zorn, and then we've got Office Zorn, which is hilarious, and then we got that nice kind of mountain theme in the background there, and if we rotate this around to the back side of the box, we've got some really great stuff going on. First of all, the comedy of the show is present right here in the back of the box. I love this. Collect all two! That's hilarious. Of course, showing you both Warrior Zorn with his mighty sword and Office Zorn with his mighty chalice. Both figures we have right here, and then we've got some nice screenshots from the TV series. Now, both card backs are exactly the same. You can also see that these are the type of card backs where the blister bubble kind of folds around to the back side. So we should be able to just kind of cut this tape and then peel that right off. So let's go ahead and remove these figures from their vintage style action figure card backs and take a look at the figures themselves. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at our two Zorn figures outside of the packaging. We'll go ahead and start with our standard Barbarian Zorn figure here. So as you can see, the figure does a great job of capturing that vintage Barbarian figure look. He's got the squat pose with the bent knees, kind of the bent arms. He's overly muscular. He looks like he comes straight out of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe or any of those Remco lines that had this kind of build. And I think that is such a cool thing because since that show is supposed to kind of spoof or riff on old shows like He-Man, it's fun to see his action figure done in that same vintage style. It fits him so perfectly. And one thing I will say is that Funko did a really great job. For this being their very first figure in this style, this is really nicely done. The quality feels great. I mean, it's a very solid feeling figure, really great plastic that's used on there. The articulation is really tight. He features just that very, very basic articulation. So the head looks left and right. You can see the hair, even though it's long, I'm still able to turn the head left and right, so that's really nice. The arms just move up and down. They're very tight joints on there. The waist just swivels left and right. There's no power punch feature or anything like that. You just have a regular swiveling waist. No band on the inside, which I really like. It's actually the ball joints. You can see the legs are ball jointed. So the legs still kind of move like those retro figures like He-Man, but it's a little sturdier. Now, I will say they're a bit looser than like the arms here, but you can see that he still stands just fine. I don't have any issues posing him on the shelf and getting him standing there. So he's a really nice feeling figure, and overall he's got a great look. I mean, the paint deco is really nice on this. They did a great job of capturing the look of the Zorn character, but at the same time, they also did a good job of making him look like a retro toy. Case in point, the paint job on the face. I love the way specifically they did the eyes. The black pupils with the black line going over the top there. That is straight vintage, like Masters of the Universe style. I love that. I think that is an awesome little touch that was done on there. But you can see he does still have his 5 o'clock shadow on there. He's got the bright red flowing hair. And, very important detail, the bald spot. He's got the bald spot sculpted on the back of his head. Perfect. Perfect. He wouldn't be Zorn without that. You can see he's got the little harness going across his chest there. It's got some nice paint on there with some kind of gunmetal silver on the little bullet points there and the square buckle on the front. And then it does look like you might be able to, yep, you can pop that right off just like on the vintage figures. Look at that. You got a little kind of buckle there so we can pull that off. And there we go. We can clip it back on. And of course we've got a little holder for his sword. A nice holster there, which is great. And of course, he's got the furry undies, because what 80s barbarian would be complete without furry pants, right? And I love the bright red, yellow, black Z buckle right there as well. So I actually really like the design of this guy. He makes a great 5.5-inch action figure. I think that is awesome. Before we get into accessories, let's just go ahead and bring in our Office Zorn here. Of course, these are for the more comedic scenes where he's at his day job. He looks exactly the same, except he's wearing a nice white button-up shirt and has a tie on, but, you know, still wearing a sweet barbarian harness over that, which is awesome. So you can see the sculpting of the figures is pretty much the same, with the exception of the torso that has the shirt there. But it's still very nicely done. You can see you got the tie sculpted there. And it's very funny, right? So if you're a fan of the show, this is one that I could definitely see you wanting to add to the collection. But if you're just a fan of like barbarian fantasy style 5.5-inch action figures, this is a really nice build for a figure. I mean, it's a great body. It's good quality. Very nicely done. I really like it. And of course, accessories, right? So both Zorn figures come with the giant sword, right? So we got the sword there, which is really great. Actually a really great design. It's oversized. I actually really like that. It's done in kind of like a nice gold plastic. It looks like it's molded in there. It does have some nice paint on there. We can put that in the little sheath on his back, so we can holster the sword on his back, which is a very nice touch. I'm glad we've got that there. And then of course you can get him to hold it in his hands. Now, I will say that it's very tough plastic. It's actually very hard. He doesn't have a lot of give on his hands, so you're actually going to have to really squeeze that to get it popped into place. The first time it was a little more difficult, but I've got him a little looser now, so he holds onto the sword good. He does have a nice tight grip, which I really like. I will say it does make him a little top heavy when you stand him up holding that sword, so you're gonna have to find the right balance. There we go, just like that, and he still stands on the shelf just fine. So Office Zorn not only has that sword, but he also comes with the chalice. And it is done in that same kind of gold plastic there. You can see it does have minimal paint deco with a little red band there. But the same kind of thing, like the hands are very rough plastic. Very, very, very strong. So you got to kind of squeeze that in there. Look, it's really kind of hard to get him to hold on to it. There we go. Clip it into place. He does have the same kind of balance issues there. Got to kind of straighten him out. There you go. But you can see both of them hold the accessories just fine. It's just a very tight grip on the hand, so it's a little hard to get the accessories plugged in. But he holds them nice and tight, which I do appreciate. And overall, I think these are really fun action figures. Seriously, whether you're a fan of the show and you want something fun to kind of represent it, or you just like those fantasy, vintage style 5.5-inch action figures, these are great. I mean, you can look at these guys paired up with vintage figures like He-Man and Black Star, and I think that is really neat to see how he kind of fits right in with those guys. You know, put them on the shelf with the rest of your 5.5-inch action figure collection. It's pretty cool, and I would really like to see Funko do more of this kind of thing, maybe outside of the Zorn universe. You know, they did a great job, I think, with Reaction. They did some fun Kenner style figures, so now maybe we can see some of these vintage style 5.5-inch figures. I think that'll be a lot of fun. So I got to give a very special thanks to the folks over at Funko for sending along these two Zorn figures so we can get a good look at them before their release. These are available for pre-order right now. You can find them at places like BigBadToyStore.com. So happy hunting, my friends! And hey guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button. Feel free to leave me a comment below and subscribe so you never miss out on one of my toy reviews. Until next time, my friends.